Well, g'day legends. Jimmy here from NBA Straya with a bit of Jim Does SuperCoach. Time for our big NBA Supercoach Week 18 preview. Yeah, big one. I'll tell you why. Because I got absolutely obliterated this week. Disaster. We'll get to that in a second. So we'll have a really quick one. We'll hit on some trade targets, the schedule, maybe one or two cash cows, and that'll be kind of it. So because this was a disaster of a week for me, James Harden breaks his thumb, ends up scoring 39 for the week. Jalen Johnson hurts his hip. He manages only 2 games. He scores a 24, might have even been the one game. 24. Tamani Kamara, my big POD, sort of roll of the dice. He only managed 45. Would have been really good if he just like popped off, maybe helped like bump that up a little bit. Top 15% score of 895. Gross. Drops 208 spots from 460 down to 668 this week. Absolutely brutal gear. But I guess, look, these are the swings and roundabouts when we're sort of trying to play dodge the injury, dodge the player management, the rest, the little, I'm going to take this game off kind of load management vibe. And I'll tell you what, it's getting harder and harder, especially with the tanking team sort of going, we're not going to play this guy. We're going to play this guy. And it's really, really difficult. So trying to step around some landmines this week, I got just, blown up by Harden and Jalen Johnson, obviously. But look, they go out for me this week. That's the obvious ones because I think they've both got 2-game weeks. So as per usual, the biggest thing is check how many games your players have. You got to try to optimize the schedule as much as you can. We'll get to that in a second. In terms of the news, SGA came back. So did Kawhi Leonard. Very cool. Happy days. We had a bunch of other folks missing time, though. Obviously, Jaylen Brown skipped a game in there. Embiid is out for 3 more games. Cooper Flagg's still out. Danny Avdija is out. Devin Booker, Dylan Brooks. Steph is out for another week and a half as well. Woof. Harden obviously breaks his thumb but has decided to try to play through it. He wasn't too bad today, but it's with a 2-game week for Cleveland, he can go straight back out for me. So I thought, look, Harden in that sort of, shooting guard 2 position next to Cade, I was feeling good about that until he breaks his thumb, misses a couple of games. It's a really tough one. But otherwise, the rest of this week, in terms of your pods of like who actually did really well, or at least who were some of the big, Jalen Duren went off his absolute head. He had 150 this week. That was awesome. 1.3% of coaches have got him. KD had a great week, 131. Luka, and this is the thing, I wasn't entirely convinced that Luka was going to play all the games last week. He did, and he rips off 143. That's always going to be the tough thing with Luka. When he plays, he's amazing. He puts up huge scores for SuperCoach. 33% ownership. I didn't want to be one of the ones that go, he misses this game. I'll hold on to a couple of my guys. Missed a trick there, I'll tell you. Jared Allen also had a massive week, 126. Those two, like the Cavs just going off their heads this weekend was kind of fun. Cade Cunningham, 122. That Chirax. Derek White, 112 out of nowhere. Not bad. KPJ, another big week for him for 107. Namus Cater. The Boston Celtics, 105, very cool. And probably one of the better cash cows out there right now as well, Nick Clifford. He's at 6.4 mil, plays for the Sacramento Kings. He had 97. He's going to keep playing because the Kings have got very little else to do apart from play their young dudes. So that's pretty good. Orsar Thompson completely is like flip spots. This is like one of my old NBA Straya theories where Marcus and Markieff Morris will keep swapping. And you're like, wait a minute, weren't you the good one last time? Hang on, what's going on here? Amen and Orsar Thompson. I don't know what's happened to Amen Thompson, but it's very worrisome because he's on my team. Meanwhile, Orsar Thompson had 96 this week. Very nice. Chet managed 92. Jaden McDaniels had 87. 87 for Case and Wallace as well, but now with SGA back, we'll see what happens there. And Jonathan Kuminga, 86. Not bad, but he's only got the 2-game week. So in terms of your cash cows as well, I mean, it's getting a bit difficult as we sort of get to this part of the season, but there is still a lot of opportunity out there. Kuminga's only at 7.8 mil, so maybe keep an eye on him with his 2-game week this week with a break even of minus 31. He will make a lot of cash. If you've got a bit of a spot on your bench, have at it, right? There's also all of the guys who play for Washington. Take your pick. Like, I think we got, Kaderi Richmond didn't end up playing this week, so hopefully you didn't get him in for the 3.9 mil. You've got Leonard Miller for the Bulls. He had 52 this week. That's not bad. Keon Ellis has been carving it up as well for Cleveland. But mostly I'm really, really bang on about the Kings and a bit of Nick Clifford. Break even to -20. He should keep scoring pretty handily and make you a bit of cash. So who are my trade targets for week 18? Obviously, it all comes down to the schedule. We've got a lot of teams with 4 games this week. It's a bit of a strange one, but especially with, I think our Tuesday's only got 4 games on it. But it means that we do have a bit of a tricky one because the Clippers are one of those 4-game teams. But does that mean Kawhi is going to play? I don't know. He came back, played today. I'd expect him to not play on the second night of a back-to-back against the Warriors. I think they get Darius Garland back for this game for the Clips. I don't know if they play Kawhi. If he does, I don't know. I just don't want to really risk that. So it's an interesting one. Outside of that, the rest of the teams with 4 games. We've got Boston, Charlotte. Who else? There is Dallas, Detroit. Actually, we could probably go through the good guys on each one as we do this, right? So Boston, that's obviously Jaylen Brown. It's Derek White. It's Cater. If you want to go for a real big pod, Peyton Pritchard maybe. Charlotte, Con Knipple, absolutely crushing it. LaMelo's a good look. His inefficiency works against him though, and with all the size there, the rebounding numbers aren't quite there. But outside of that, Brandon Miller's been really good. Interesting. Dallas, again, that's just a real tough one right now. Because you had Najee Marshall, not too bad, but Gafford, maybe, I don't know. Detroit, Cade Cunningham locked in. He's on my team, 122 last week. Jalen Duren obviously playing really, really well. Orsar Thompson as well. Not a bad POD. Houston, which is where it gets a little bit dicey for me because I've already got Amen Thompson and LP Şengün. Do I bring in Kevin Durant this week as well? Maybe. The Clippers, that's a really tough one with the likes of, obviously, your man's Kawhi. Outside of that, yeah, it's real dicey. Garland, keep an eye on him. The Lakers have got 4 games this week as well, but they do have another back-to-back in there. Does Luka just keep playing all these games? He might. They need to keep winning, so they are right in the thick of this playoff race. Austin Reeves has had a really slow return as well. I'll talk about him again in a second. You've got Miami. Tyler Hero has been wildly inefficient. Norm Powell, Bam, Adebayo, etc. They're just not really lighting the world on fire with a bunch of their Supercoach scores, right? It's just a bit of a strange one. You've then got Milwaukee. No Giannis back yet. They're very, very quiet on that front. KPJ still causing all sorts of havoc. You've got the Knicks, which is an interesting one. I've already got Brunson on my team. I had him from a couple of weeks ago. 8 the 3-game week last week. He had 61. And I think I feel okay about the Knicks prospects for at least this week. They've got a pretty interesting one. They play Toronto, OKC, Denver, and the Lakers. Big games, big moments. It's always an interesting one for some of these Supercoach scores because some of the players really just, they're going to be playing all 48 minutes in a big game. Well, not all 48 minutes, but they'll be playing all 4 quarters. Probably not too many blowouts on a good team. So don't mind that for Brunson, to the point where I might bring in Cat as well in one of the other trades that I've got. You've got the New Orleans Pelicans. Zion tweaked his ankle, sat in his second game, well, the last game of this week for him. Other than that, New Orleans, Sadiq Bey. I mentioned him a week or two ago. He's been very, very solid. Outside of that, it's all a little bit dicey. Derek Queen sort of dropping off. Orlando, Paolo Banchero, just the inefficiency is sort of killing him. Desmond Bain is the one that I'm very, very interested in for this week. Phoenix with no Booker or Brooks, it's very, very hard to get excited about them. San Antonio, that's awesome. I've slapped the C on Victor Wembanyama already. Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper's just sitting on my bench, just racking up 60s. It's just he's plateaued at 8.6 mil, not really going anywhere. But, I mean, the emergency bench stuff is pretty crazy. It's pretty hard to get the 4-game players on court and sacrifice a cash cow at any point. Just with the limited amount of trades, but I don't know, if he's there, I'd get rid of him. Utah and Washington, the other two. Utah is just absolute slice and dice, but otherwise, Utah and Washington, they're just so mix and match. Who knows who's going to play at any point? It's really hard to try. Even Keontae George, that's cool, but he's in and out of the lineup. Lowry's been sat for a little bit. It's all a bit of a mess. The thing is, those are the Week 18 teams. Who's playing 4 games in Week 19? Well, there's one team that's playing 5. So Tyrese Maxey, locked and loaded. Love him. He plays every game. Maxey's unreal. You've still got 4 games the following week. So the maximum sort of 8 games, I guess, you have Dallas, Detroit, Milwaukee, the Knicks, and Utah. So that's why I'm probably thinking about bringing Cat in because he comes in for the Knicks to play another 4 games, 8 across the 2 weeks to go with Brunson. Feel okay about that. Utah, again, it's just such a crapshoot that it's a little bit tough. But otherwise, I think my biggest trade targets this week, before we do that, who are we avoiding? Atlanta and Cleveland have only got the 2 games this week. And in terms of the following week 19 slate, I think the 2-game weeks, we've got New Orleans with a 2-game week that week. And I believe there was one other team floating around with only the 2 on the schedule. Maybe not. There you go. Maybe just the Pels. Yeah. Oh, well. I guess the big question for me this week is do you trust Luka and Kawhi's ability to play all 4 games in this coming week? They're probably the 2 best trade targets you could probably go and get. Obviously, Luka is an absolute scoring machine. Kawhi's been very, very good as well. He literally came straight back today. Looked really, really good. Outside of that, though, I feel like KD just keeps rolling on, keeps playing all these games. 131 last week. Just looks really, really, really good, right? To the point where they're asking him to do a little bit more, and the rebounding, the assist numbers, it's all sort of cruising along kind of nicely. He hasn't missed a game since the start of February. He's just ripped off a 32, 5 and 8, a 48 and 3, a 21, 4 and 5. And it's almost coming at the cost of Amen Thompson. You're breaking my heart, Kevin. So I don't know. I feel like KD's a really good pick if you don't have him already. Otherwise, Austin Reeves, he's a little bit cheaper than Luka. The question, again, being sort of as he returns back to form, can you trust him at that price point? Not a bad idea. I think for me in that spot, it's probably Desmond Bane versus Austin Reeves. I don't have either of them. Bane might be a little bit more of an interesting candidate here because you can sort of at least trust his role just that little bit more, whereas Reeves coming back from the injury, combining with Luka and LeBron all these games, it's just a little bit dicier. We did see Bane rip off a 36 against Houston and a 20 against the Lakers this week. They play Washington, Dallas, Minnesota, and Milwaukee this week. I love, love, love Orlando's schedule, so I'm probably going to go with Bane. Luka's obviously been really, really good, and it's sort of hard to sort of, ping him for playing all the games and being fantastic, right? Because he's awesome. He's a super coach machine. Their lineup this week, they play the Pelicans, Denver, Indy, and the Knicks. So a couple of tougher games in there. He'll put up big numbers if he plays all 4 of them. But I think for me, what I'm looking at this week with Houston playing the 4 games, I think Harden goes out, Jalen Johnson goes out. They're obviously only playing 2 games this week anyway, so off they go. Kamara goes back out as well. I think in comes Karl Anthony Towns. I think just in terms of the Knicks lineup, I think he just plays a lot. I think he's okay this week. You look at some of the big men that they'll be going up against. If you look at the Knicks, as I sort of rattled it off, right, they've got these games against Toronto, not a wildly imposing big man battle. OKC, it's like him and Chet. Denver, Jokic, yes, but then the Lakers, maybe not so much. So don't mind the matchups for Cat. He comes in, I think I go with Kevin Durant. He's just been that good of late. He's really hit a nice little patch. Don't mind that sort of schedule that he's got where they've got Washington, that's his hometown. He'll probably try his hardest to go off. Golden State, it's the old team he used to play for. He's going to go hammer and tongs. An interesting one at home against Portland and then against Wemby and the Spurs. So I feel like we'll get a lot of KD this week. So I might throw him in. The problem is that leaves me with Amen Thompson, LP Şengün, and Kevin Durant, all from the Rockets. Is that too many Rockets to carry? Maybe, but Amen might be just the guy that I sort of have over there cruising along, and hopefully he can give us a little bit on the defensive end and actually get us there. So I think Harden, Jalen Johnson, Kamara out for Bane, Cat, and KD for me this week. Reeves is the other one. That only leaves me with 287,000 in the bank. So that should be all right. But there you go. That's it. Real quick hitter for me this week. Let us know what you're up to, how you're going, how you managed to avoid or fall into some of these, in the minefield this week of resting, Harden injuries, Luka going off. If you had Jalen Duran, let us know how you went with your rankings. Smash us in the comments. Hit us up in the DMs. Disaster for me with Jalen Johnson. Carrying Jalen Johnson thinking, oh, it'll be okay this week. Gets hurt almost straight away. It was absolutely brutal gear, but you get that on the big jobs. Best part about Supercoach, now we fight our way back, don't we? All right. So what we're going to be doing this week, go check out NBA Straya, of course, as per usual. Doing all the NBA stuff every single day. Go check it out. Jim Does SuperCoach. We are going to do an AFL Supercoach team reveal chat later this week as well, which is going to be very, very fun. I think we're going to try to do that on Thursday. Obviously, week 0 kicks off, but Supercoach doesn't start until week 1 for AFL. But that'll be just standalone as a show and pop up on the YouTube channel as well. So lots going on there. We'll also be launching a new AFL show if you're into that as well. Go check that out. It's called Footy Unfilterated. Go follow it on the socials. The show will go up tomorrow. Big season preview. It's going to be unreal. So there you go. Big week 18 ahead of NBA Supercoach. Let's try to get that ranking back up, shall we? All right, here's to a big week ahead and happy super coaching. This has been Jim Does SuperCoach.